So I just listened to Biden's farewell address. I'm furious. I'm so infuriated right now. I had to say something. I normally don't get into these types of controversial topics too deeply, but I can't let this go. It affects me personally, affects my family personally. I have to say something. Joe Biden's speech was him standing up there as if he was some kind of freaking hero. As if he worked tirelessly for his entire presidency in order to bring relief and justice and some kind of hope for the American people. All he's done is sit back in a freaking basement. I wish he was more in a basement, but to be honest, he didn't do anything. He watched all of America fall apart even more. People are still homeless at catastrophic rates. Climate change is wreaking havoc on the American people in so many different ways. People are having to choose between food and their medicine. People are having to try to figure out if their kids can even go to college. Or if they're going to be safe in school. If their kid's going to come home from a regular school day. I was one of those parents that had a call from my child's school saying that there was a lockdown in her school because of an active shooter in the area. I was one of the lucky ones. Her school was one of the lucky ones because they got away scot-free. But I should never have gotten that call. And my daughter shouldn't have to learn how to keep herself safe if there's an active shooter. Which the advice from the school, by the way, was just make sure that you cower into a corner. You want to talk about disinformation on social media? What about disinformation about your cognitive decline? Or what about you gaslighting the American people about how you're fighting tirelessly for a ceasefire between Israel and Palestine. You're trying everything you can to get aid to the innocent victims that are being tortured there by all of the bombardments, that are not being protected the way they should be. Where were you when they needed help? Where were you when our tax money was being sent over to Israel to fund that? Circumventing Congress on more than one occasion, by the way. You want to talk about disinformation? At least be honest with what you're doing. Be honest with yourself. Roe versus Wade got overturned under your watch in 2022, 2 years into your presidency. I'm raising a young child. She's 14 years old, a daughter. That affects her directly and for the rest of her life. And it was one of the reasons that we moved. You had time to fix that. You had time to make that better. You had time to do something, and you didn't. You said you were going to work to raise the minimum wage. You barely talked about it. You said you were going to give the American people a public option for healthcare because of the COVID pandemic. You didn't. You didn't do anything. You didn't even talk about it. Just for those of you who are watching who are not in America, the minimum wage, the national minimum wage in America is $7.50 an hour. And how dare you have the nerve to tell us we have to stand guard now? F off. You didn't guard us against anything. You couldn't even put pressure on your attorney general to press charges against Trump for initiating a fake elector scheme to take over the election. He dragged his feet for years because he didn't want to press charges against an elite or whatever, you could have put pressure on him to do that right away. Or put pressure on Congress to do it right away. Or however you needed to do it. You're the leader of the country. And you let democracy fall apart. You even stood by while Florida completely circumvented the democratic system during your re-election bid by not allowing primaries. So that you could win that section, that you could win Florida. You're an egomaniac. You're just a self-aggrandizing. I'm trying to control my language a little bit for y'all, but I am furious. You want to talk about the rise of oligarchy? You're freaking kidding me, as if this is a brand new thing. This has been happening for decades, Joe. And you've been in Senate for decades. You were the vice president for 8 years. You were the president for 4 years. There's more billionaires than there ever have been in the United States. What did you do to help regulate that? I'm completely baffled that you have the nerve to stand there and gaslight the American people as if you're some kind of FDR 2.0. You've got to be kidding me. You are the polar opposite of FDR. Now, he had his problems and he was not the perfect president. But I'll tell you one thing. The American people revere him even now as one of the greatest presidents we've had because you could still feel the effects of his presidency in positive ways. Do you think that people are going to feel like that about you 50 years from now? Are you kidding me? Who are you? What are you smoking? You should make that stuff legal. Because if you're able to go through life thinking you're doing all these grand things, everybody should be that relaxed and comfortable and confident with themselves, as far as I'm concerned. Don't lecture me. Don't lecture the American people about standing guard or standing up or protecting democracy or protecting your freedoms or fighting for the working class or fighting for your fellow countrymen. You didn't do any of that. You did diddly squat. People are less free and have less rights on your outgoing than they did when you came into office. And you want us to praise you? You want us to hold you into some kind of friggin' regard? Are you insane? I'm not looking forward to another Trump presidency. Personally, just my opinion. I lived under it once, and I remember how difficult it was. And I reluctantly voted for you. I knew who you were, but I was hoping that because we're still coming down from a crisis, that you would see how desperate the American people were and how much they need your help. And I knew that Trump would probably not be able to help us anymore. But you did nothing with it. And now you want a friggin' medal? You don't get cookies for doing the minimum. Okay? You don't get cookies for just sitting there smiling and looking good. That's not how it works. Do your job. You should have done your freaking job. You had 4 years to do your job and you didn't. And that's why you got fired by the American people. You didn't protect us. You didn't enact any kind of real change. There was nothing positive that was felt by the American people in the 4 years that you were president. You didn't protect us. You didn't do anything for us. You're a failure. You're a disgrace. And to be honest, I am so glad that I decided to leave America. Not because of the incoming president, but because I saw the writing on the wall once Roe v. Wade got overturned and I got that friggin' phone call from my daughter's school. I was like, I can't do this anymore because you guys aren't even fighting for us anymore. You're supposed to be the party of the working class. You're supposed to be the party of the disenfranchised. You're supposed to be the party of the people who can't help themselves, who can't speak for themselves, who are being oppressed, who are being let down. And all you did was let us continue to be oppressed and let down and struggle. And you want a freaking medal. Your son was a hero. You are not. That's all. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you all stay safe. I'll talk to you later.